There's a number that quietly embarrassed the researchers who found it. When someone does one small thing for a stranger, holds a door, covers the coffee, picks up a dropped glove, the person on the receiving end is more affected than the giver ever guesses. Not a little more, measurably, stubbornly more. In 2022, two researchers, Amit Kumar and Nicholas Epley, handed people a cup of hot chocolate in a park and asked them to give it to a stranger. First, they asked the givers to predict how the stranger would feel. The givers guessed, mildly pleased, politely warmed, a shrug of a nice moment. Then they asked the strangers. The strangers weren't mildly anything. They were genuinely, disproportionately moved. A jump the givers never saw coming. The kindness landed heavier than the person throwing it ever imagined. Hold on to that gap, the space between what the giver expects and what the receiver actually feels. Because it is the entire reason a stranger holding a door open for you can ride around in your chest for an hour afterward like a small warm stone, and you genuinely cannot say why. So let me slow the whole thing down. It happens in about a second and a half, and inside that second and a half, there are at least 4 separate things happening to you. Picture it. You're walking toward a glass door. A cafe, a lobby, a pharmacy, doesn't matter. Your hands might be full or they might not. Someone's a few steps ahead, already through, already free to let it swing shut behind them. And here's the ordinary version, the one that happens 90 times out of 100. The door closes, not rudely, just physics. They didn't see you, or they saw you and the thought never landed, and the door swings back, and you catch it yourself, and nothing registers because nothing happened. But this time, they pause. That's the first layer. Watch it in slow motion. They're already through. They've already won. They owe you nothing. The day does not require this of them. And they stop their own forward motion, which is the one thing a body on autopilot hates to do, and they turn back half a step and hold the edge of the door. That pause costs them something, tiny but real, a half second of their momentum handed to you. Second layer, and this is the one that does the quiet damage. They look at you, just a flick of the eyes, but in that flick something gets confirmed that you spend the whole rest of your day quietly doubting without noticing. Here's what I mean. Your brain all day long runs a background program you never asked it to run, older than language. Down under the floorboards of your attention, there's a system with one job: scan the room and answer a single question on a loop. Is this safe? And do the people here see me as a person, or as an obstacle? You don't hear it asking, but it's why a crowded train can leave you drained when nothing bad happened. You were read as furniture for 40 minutes and some ancient part of you kept score. The stranger's glance interrupts that program. For half a second the answer comes back. Seen. A person. Not something in the way of their day, a person worth losing a half step for. And if that just landed, if you felt that little click of recognition, this is me, I felt exactly this and never had the words. That click is the reason this whole channel exists. To put words on the small stuff your mind does when you're not looking. If you want more of it, come sit with us here, subscribe and stay a while. This corner of the internet is for people who'd rather feel awake than numb. Third layer, the wait. Because holding a door isn't a moment, it's a held moment. They have to keep holding while you close the distance. And in that stretch, 3, 4, 5 steps, there's this small, absurd, completely human negotiation. You speed up a little so they don't wait too long. They hold it a beat past comfortable because letting go now would be worse than never holding it at all. Neither of you says a word, but you're cooperating. Two strangers running a wordless little duet of consideration, each adjusting for the other. Your nervous system feels that. Coordination with another human, silent, 3 steps long, reads to the body as belonging, as we're on the same side here, and belonging is the exact thing that background program is starved of on a normal, anonymous, heads-down day. Fourth layer, the pass-through. You go through. Maybe you say thanks, maybe just a nod, maybe nothing but a slightly softer face, and it's done. 1.5 seconds start to finish. They walk their way, you walk yours, you'll never see them again, and your thinking mind files it under nothing happened, we're fine, keep moving. Except an hour later you're a little lighter and you don't know why. So here's what actually got left behind. It wasn't the door. The door is nothing. A hinge and a sheet of glass. What got left behind was proof. For 1 second, a person who owed you absolutely nothing, who gained nothing, who you can't even repay because you don't know their name, chose to treat you like you mattered. and your brain, which had spent all morning quietly assuming the world was neutral at best and faintly against you at worst, just got handed evidence against its own assumption. Fresh data. The world, it turns out, contains people who lose a half step for you for no reason at all. This is why it stays and politeness doesn't. Here's the difference, and it's the whole thing. Politeness is scripted. Politeness is the cashier saying "have a nice day," the automatic thank you, the social software running exactly as expected. Your brain barely logs it, because expected kindness carries almost no information. You already knew it was coming, so it can't update anything, it's noise. But the stranger at the door wasn't scripted. No rule made them do it. It was optional, unrequired, a small free choice to be decent when indifference was right there and easier. And your mind treats unrequired kindness completely differently from the required kind, because the unrequired kind is a signal. It tells you something true about how a person, and maybe the world, actually is when nobody's forcing anything. That's the punchline the researchers kept running into. We badly underestimate this. Go back to the hot chocolate. There's a cousin to it called the liking gap. After a real little exchange with a stranger, both people walk away thinking the other one liked them less than they actually did. We constantly misread how much our small warmth lands on other people, and how much theirs lands on us. Which means the person who held that door for you almost certainly has no idea it did anything. They think it was a shrug they've already forgotten, and you're still carrying it an hour later like a gift. Because to your nervous system, it was one. And here's the part I most want you to sit with, because it's the reframe that recolors everything. You are not being sentimental. You're not soft for feeling it. This is not you being needy or reading too much into a doorway. This is a healthy human nervous system doing exactly what it was built to do, staying alert for any evidence that it's safe to lower its guard, and grabbing that evidence the instant it shows up, because the body would so much rather feel connected than braced. Everyone's mind does this. The gruff guy who'd never admit it does this. The person who swears they don't care what strangers think does this. You just happen to catch the receipt. I'm genuinely curious where yours is. The door someone held. The stranger who waited the extra beat. The small unrequired thing that stuck to you longer than it had any right to. Drop it in the comments. I do read them. Because something happens when 100 people realize they've all been quietly keeping the same receipts. It stops feeling like a private little softness and starts feeling like the most normal thing in the world. Which it is. Because notice what this quietly says about you, walking around all day. The reason a held door hits so hard isn't that kindness is rare. It's that you're scanning for it, constantly. Under the floorboards, that old program isn't only hunting for threat, it's hunting just as hard for the opposite. For one sign that you're among people and not just near them. You are wired, right now, to be knocked slightly off balance by decency, because some part of you never fully stops hoping to find it. And that's the moment I love, the tiny awakening buried in all of this. The second you realize you weren't moved because you're fragile, you were moved because you were paying attention, and the world briefly said something back. The gray, automatic, heads-down version of your day desaturated for a second and went warm, right there in a doorway, and you got to feel, for no cost, from someone you'll never thank, that you're not walking through this alone. So next time it happens, and it will, probably this week, someone loses a half step for you and you feel that small unearned lift. Don't fix it. Don't name it. Don't do anything with it. Just catch yourself catching it. Notice your whole nervous system lean toward the light. Notice that the smallest proof was enough. That a stranger holding a piece of glass for 1.5 seconds reminded a very old part of you of something it desperately wanted to be true and had almost stopped expecting. It was never about the door. It was about being caught in the middle of your ordinary, tired, heads-down day, and having someone, for no reason at all, decide you were worth the wait.